All right.
You ever eaten a honey bun out of a vending machine?
I can't
So
say I have.
I would so here's the story. I would take so the context for this is that I was never like sober making these decisions. I would always keep my vape pen like in between, so I would wear my bra and then a sports bra over it, and I would keep my pen in the sports bra, and I would just go to the bathroom and like sneak and get high, and I would sit right next to the dean's office because I was very stupid and very cocky. Uh, I think I wanted to get caught. I don't know.
What?
Um, and I would make the trek across campus to the one vending machine that had honey buns, and it would be the only thing that I ate all day. And I would be on campus, and I'd be like, "Wow, why am I so incapable of getting any work done?" While like hopped up on sugar and like the Starbucks kiosk, like the shitty like not really Starbucks because everything is kind of like in a bottle in the fridge and they just warm it up. Um, yeah, that was my diet for like the 3 years that I was on campus. And I look back and I'm like, I don't know how my grades are even half decent because I would just go home and I would just sleep because I like. I mean, you don't get any energy when that's like
No,
the only thing that you're eating.
Yeah, I
no.
just looked up the nutritional facts of like
Oh no!
honey bun in general,
Oh
and all of
no!
these are bad. None of
They're
these are
so
good.
so bad.
These
It's
are
so
scary
bad.
facts, bad facts.
Yeah. In fact, it's not nutritional
I'm kind of
facts.
glad
I
I
would
never
say.
had one.
I wish
You
that I'd
know,
never had one.
I think something that we don't talk about enough is that all sugar is not the same. Because like
Yes.
sugar's a drug, right? And like that if you smoke different strains of weed, or if you eat an edible versus smoking, or smoke concentrates versus flour, or things like that, that it affects you differently, right?
Right.
Sugar is not all the same. I think we don't think about this enough.
Yeah.
But
Eating like strawberries and yogurt and honey is not gonna like wreck your body the same way that like eating two honey buns will, or like a honey bun, or like because they have like the
but
little mini ones.
doesn't the process of like are you saying like the process of metabolism?
yeah, you metabolize shit differently.
Yeah.
Like there are sweeteners that you metabolize faster or slower based on the way that they're composed, for instance, and things like that.
Right.
And so like, yeah, if you eat that yogurt and strawberries and honey, technically there's a lot of sugars in all of those items, but they're the kind that are going to break down slower in general.
And
And so
not gonna like
you're
leave
not
you
going to feel
drained
as
of
weird.
energy.
But don't they still yield the same thing? Like
Kind of.
what are
But
those things called? Uh, Monosaccharides?
Y'all are all way over my head. I know that strawberries are better for me than a
then a
Danish, and
honey
that's all.
bun.
That's
No,
all.
honey bun. Yeah.
I check
But
out
yeah,
after
no,
that point.
if you eat something like a honey bun, I don't know exactly what it is in that, and I don't want to know, but like your blood sugar just instantly spikes to the roof.
Oh yeah, and then immediately like 20 minutes later it drops, and you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, why do
Yeah,
I
reading
feel
these
so
nutritional
shitty?
things, I feel like you'd go into diabetic shock if
Like
you were a diabetic and ate this.
oh yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
it's like and like Kennedy says, it is like a drug, and like it you start to think of like consumption of that kind of stuff like when you're stupid and you're not paying attention, like you start to think of it as like your normal, which it should never be. The human body was never built to survive anything made by Hostess or Little Debbie ever. Like what's
It
the
really
meme,
was
like
not.
if you like fed this to someone in the 1600s, they would die instantly. Like hello, that's on me. That's
Aw.
my
Thanks for
wonderful
saying
Omni.
everyone looks lovely, Omni. Yeah, we're just talking about sugar.
Everyone's favorite thing. And I'm trying so hard to make like you know all of the holiday desserts, they just make you feel like so shitty. And so try
Oh
to
my
make
God.
things that are like half healthy at least.
Yeah, a lot of
And
holiday food, rough.
mm,
Rough.
The one thing that I'm making, and I'm like really making it with like my grandma's recipe, so like not healthy, is like pumpkin cookies. And even that is just like cream cheese icing is the best and worst thing that's ever existed in the world, and it should
Who
not be
made that?
illegal.
Because
It should not be illegal.
it's too good.
It's too good. Oh my god, it's
It's so
unfair.
fattening.
It's unfair how good it is, and it's the worst thing you could possibly consume in like the world.
And I put it on everything.
So good. I remember when I was like fully like I was first, like I was experimenting with a lot of vegan cooking, and I made a really good cream cheese icing. And I mean, it took everything in me not to like, because like I had it in the fridge in like a big tub. It took everything in me not to eat it on like toast,
Yeah.
like everything. And I saved it, and then I found out that someone else had been eating it by the spoonful, which humble brag, because it was good and I made it from scratch. But
No, that's awesome. Brag on it.
Right?
I love baking. That's why I look like this. It's not my fault.
No, I hear. I actually have been in that situation where you make way too much of a really good frosting, and it's just sitting there in your fridge, and you're like, what do I do with all this?
I don't want to waste
frosting?"
it.
Am I gonna put it on top of ice cream? I don't have anything.
I guess I have to bake another cake.
That's just
Am I
sugar
gonna
on
make
sugar.
a frosting and peach slices sandwich, maybe?
Oh my god, that's a horrible universe that you just opened up for me that I'm never gonna return from. I got really complacent like over like last summer. I would just make like we have like a shit ton of like just like random cans of pie filling because we use it not regularly, but like it's the most regular thing that we like make desserts with. And I just got in the habit of like every other day like making a small dump cake, like you just like dump like cake mix over like a fruit and you put butter, and it's like, oh, it's not that bad, it's fruit, but then it's also sugar, butter, and it's like, this is so simple and I can just throw it together, and it became a problem. It was a problem.
This is wheat frosting. That sounds pretty good.
That sounds good as hell.
I will say that like I've had a weed wedding cake once. And it was very dank and very wonderful. Like they had like a little bonus cake. They had their main wedding cake, and then they have this other cute little matching cake that is full of weed. It's really strong.
Oh yes. God, that's ideal.
Yeah, that was good times.
God.
I will say though, I've actually been getting more into savory edibles.
Ooh.
Because it can be too tempting to eat too many sweet things sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Savory edibles?
Yeah. Like you ever made medicated ketchup? You just put that on anything.
My God.
It's awesome.
I mean, that makes sense. There is still sugar in ketchup, so.
Yeah, there's also other ways you can add it.
Just gonna make I'm just gonna bake like bread with weed in it. Why not?
There's this chef in Seattle that says weed pairs well with pork. I've been curious about that.
I can see it.
Yeah.
You make like a pork sausage, but instead of sage, you use weed.
Oh shit.
I remember trying to cook a steak with weed butter at one point in college.
Like a compound butter?
Yeah. It turned out pretty good, but Jesus, I could not move afterwards. I was so full. Big steak.
Oh, funny enough, I made weed sugar recently. Here it is. It happens to be on my desk.
That's so sick.
Nice.
What is the process of making weed sugar?
It is you first of all, you have to live in a legal state like me. I'm saying that for you, YouTube. I know you want me to acknowledge this. then you take sugar and then you infuse the weed into alcohol, and then you put the weed alcohol on the sugar and you evaporate it.
That is so sick.
So just so happens that I did that recently.
See, I think that like if someone could make like, I'm sure this probably exists, but like hard candies that are like cinnamon, because I've always loved cinnamon hard candies, and I just think that it would taste good with weed. I think it tastes really good, like the hard like, cinnamon discs or whatever. I didn't mean to do the sign. I was making a circle. Just so nobody screenshots it. I didn't mean to do the sign. I know it's not
Someone
2017
screen
anymore.
cap this.
Oh fuck! Post
And
cancel me.
cancel at Hell Baby.
Mm.
Definitely don't follow her for great tweets.
Yeah.
Can he be canceled this early in the career? He's canceled. Mike Lindell was talking about cancel culture, and now I'm worried about it.
Oh God, I saw his commercial where he says cancel culture has affected millions of Americans. How?
Yeah, we watched that. We actually watched that on the show yesterday.
That's so funny.
Yeah, the alcohol evaporation, it's a little scary, but really just leave it alone. That's the secret to alcohol evaporation. Just leave it the fuck alone. But yeah, we watched the Mike Lindell cancel culture commercial on the show yesterday. It was something else. Honestly, it kind of broke my brain. Like I was struggling to like I thought I was gonna be really funny after seeing it and just be able to riff, but actually I was struggling to articulate words, thoughts, or emotions after seeing that.
There's something about Mike Lindell that just like I see him and I feel like pure like panic response, like fight or flight. Like this man is dangerous to me and my health.
I keep saying it. He looks like the Zodiac Killer.
Yes.
Yeah. He definitely gives off a dangerous vibe. He has that vibe like people who listen to classic rock. That's what he makes me feel like. I'm really nervous around people who only listen to classic rock, and I feel like they all look like Mike Lindell.
Nothing wrong with classic rock.
No, I like
people
classic
that
rock.
only listen to classic rock.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a different kind of.
Exactly.
That's a different kind of person.
See, like, I mean, listen, I'll put on a Yes album sometimes, or
There are moments
occasionally
for it.
The Who or something. You know, there's a moment where I want to hear something like that sometimes. But the people who only listen to classic rock, I feel, are statistically more dangerous people to be around on average.
Statistically, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Mike Lindell just takes me as that type. Like he'd be like, "Yeah, I've got every Zeppelin album on vinyl. Which one do you want to listen to?" And I'd be like, "Oh God, I have to get out of here.
He
I'm
like
in danger."
I can't think of I'm just like imagining him as like he's like a big Greta Van Fleet fan. He's like, finally these young kids are doing something that I like.
I wish that we can, you know what's fucked up is we can show news clips, we could show movie trailers, we could show clips from shows on here, which we didn't really prepare anything today, to be honest, but I do like to try to, have a clip or two sometimes for us to watch or something. We can't listen to even like 30 seconds of a song or we'll get copyright struck. I think we should be able to fair use, listen to some Greta Van Fleet and
so that we can share it with share how it's not even that it's like it's so funny how technically fine everything is, but it just feels like in Christmas movies where like they want to play like Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, but they can't, so they make something that sounds almost like Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, and everyone recognizes that it's Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, just not. That's Greta Van Fleet, and they're all talented musicians. I guess. Just, well,
No, I agree with you. I'm just being shitty. No, I think what's funny too is like the lyrics really exemplify what you're saying, because the lyrics to every Greta Van Fleet song sound like they're written by a 45-year-old rock star already,
Yes.
not by an 18-year-old. They're always like, woman, when I get my Viagra and my hip medication, you better watch out.
These
I'm
children don't
coming for
understand
you.
rock music. It's like someone that looks like a TikToker, like
Yeah.
singing about like the thrill of the ride, and it's like, are you talking like what do you mean? Like the e-bike that you drive around the city? Nothing
They're,
wrong
like,
with the e-bike.
referencing brands of cigarettes that don't exist anymore.
Like, how do I really get the like 46-year-old woman demographic? Very interested in me. Like women who still have like chunk highlights from the 2000s. Like, I really want them to listen to my music.
I need them to care about me.
Like, if you have a Peggy Hill haircut, like you need to be a fan of my band.
Any guy with frosted tips.
Guy.
Also, if you have a Peggy Hill haircut and you're a stay-at-home mom with too much money, support this show. This is Velvet Butcher Shop. That's what you're watching. It is Monday through Friday at 1 Eastern live, and then available forevermore in both video and audio form. And we'll be back in 60 seconds, and we will talk about some Taylor Swift.
Let's go. I was born
Yeah.
ready for this moment. So
I know you were.
Is it that time?
let's go. That went hard.
Thank you.
That kind of slapped.
Thank you. We've gotten mostly good feedback
Hell yeah.
on the transition so far, which I appreciate. So Taylor Swift is re-recording her first 6 albums.
Yes.
And I find this topic totally fascinating, even if I am not a huge T Swift fan, but also we have a huge T Swift fan here to help us talk about it. Also, I listened to some Red Taylor's version because I said I would. So I'm fully prepared for this conversation.
Let's go. Okay. So, are we gonna do like a rundown, like a quick rundown of the background behind the?
I should.
Let's talk about the album itself a little first, because
Okay.
I want to get into the controversy later, because I want to talk about how this relates to just art
Mhm.
as a whole and stuff a little bit, and like broaden it out maybe, because this is actually what Taylor Swift's going through is very interesting and a very like not entirely untypical situation for artists to
In fact,
end up in.
Yeah, there are quite a few other artists that. Sorry to interrupt, but there are quite a few other artists like JoJo, from the 2000s, everyone's favorite like teen pop star for 2 minutes. Hi Shayna. Shayna's a friend.
Nice.
If if someone had like a pop hit from the 2000s, like they likely are dealing with the same figures and they're having the same exact things happen. It happened, all throughout, like basically from like the birth of what we know of the music industry, up and coming creators who maybe don't have, a manager that's advocating for them. Maybe they don't, they're young, particularly it's usually teenagers. They sign these deals where basically they don't own creative rights to the masters of their own music. So it's very common.
And stretching back further, I mean, it was even worse. We were talking about classic rock before the break. there are classic rock bands that literally have like no ownership of their music at all. Like they don't own the words, they don't own the melody, they don't own the masters, they don't own anything.
So they're not even in a position where they can go back and take back that music because it's completely owned by a corporate entity.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the album itself.
Okay, sorry,
Red,
I jumped the
Taylor. No, it's good. It's good. It's all good, Helen.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Red, Taylor's version. I listened to some of it. I also listened to a little bit of the original Red because honestly, I'm not super familiar with Taylor Swift. So there were like 2 songs on that album that I remember what they sounded like. And I was like, yeah, if I'm actually going to make a meaningful comparison,
You probably should look into it.
One thing I will say is that although it sucks that she's in this situation, it's kind of cool that she has this opportunity to re-record her songs without anyone really looking over her shoulder.
Yes.
Because no one controls Taylor Swift now at this
Right.
point. Like, she is an independent entity that doesn't answer to anyone. She has worked really hard to create that for herself.
Right.
And so she's just recording the versions of the songs that she really wants to hear for the most part. And I know that she said that she's trying not to change it too much, but it's clear that like she's making some tweaks. And I think it's actually good.
Yeah. For one, it's so cool to see, she's 31. She's been focusing a lot more on vocals in like the later half of her career. And you can hear some of the songs that I always loved. Red came out when I was 17. It was such a big album for me. But there are songs where you can hear that it's very reliant on autotune, which obviously not a problem, but to have someone be able to go from like basically artificially creating a sound for themselves to being able to mimic that sound pretty not spot on, but pretty well. It just speaks to someone's like dedication to like an art, and I really appreciate that, and I appreciate that from all artists.
Yeah, her voice is more powerful now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is very cool to hear. It does seem like though at times it's almost too twangy. Like she almost sounds a little like young Dolly Parton on a couple of those songs.
I love Miss Dolly Parton, so I do not mind that at all. I think that she almost like suppressed the twang for so long that she's had to reclaim it. Like she made like 3 pop albums in a row, like exclusively pop albums, and now she's like, wait, I like to sound like I'm like I was raised in a barn. Not any issues with that. I have family that was raised in a barn. I'm allowed. Yeah. So I just I love it. I love country. I miss at times the pop country sound because I was raised on like the Chicks. I sometimes slip and refer to them as their dead name, but the Chicks.
They need a better name.
They do, because like
just shortening it to the Chicks.
It doesn't work.
No,
it doesn't work. Like they could call themselves like literally anything else, like
literally anything.
I like anything. But
Joe, what would you rename the former Dixie Chicks to if you were in charge, rather than the Chicks? Just their first name. What would your audience? You can kick them out here too.
Yeah, I might need some help with this one.
The liberal Chicks.
The liberal Chicks.
Really their full rotation.
Chickpeas. Maybe I don't know. Maybe no. That'll be taken out of context.
Oh God.
Oh.
It's not that what is it, Brass Against band that we're talking about. The one where the lady brought somebody up on stage and peed on his face. A queen, free her. Do you not know that this happened? Did you not see this? Am I the only one that knows that this? Okay, so a cover woman for a lead woman for a cover band that does mostly like punk covers. They're called Brass Against. And lately, there's been a controversy around them because she brought a fan up on stage, laid him down, dropped trowel, and peed on his face. And
Huh.
I'm torn on that because
Okay.
you don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that.
You
What,
don't have to.
what an obvious yet profound statement.
No matter what someone tells you, you don't have to pee on someone's face in a crowd, but also you can, and so I guess it just really depends, like, not to be too cliche, but to pee or not to pee.
And so
I need to take a
was
nap
she
after this
arrested
joke.
or something?
I don't think she was arrested.
Okay.
I think that her bandmates were like, that was fucking gross and we didn't expect it, sorry, and they made her apologize.
You're out of the band.
You should clear that with your bandmates.
Yeah.
I will draw the line there because I'm thinking back on like some of the old punk bands that used to do stuff like that, and like I can kind of see like wanting to recapture some of that energy, and I have mixed feelings about it. I don't know if it's necessarily good or bad entirely, but I think not discussing it with your bandmates, that's a
pretty
faux
bad.
pas.
That's pretty bad.
You should if you're planning something like that.
Is that really the takeaway here?
Yes, it is.
I have a hot
Respect
take.
your collaborators.
I have a hot take.
Lesson learned.
Go for it.
Clear it with your bandmates before you pee on somebody.
I think they must have known about it. And I think the person in the crowd must have known about it. Because how are you going to be okay with being brought up on stage and having because he was okay with it. Like, he stood up and like spat it out into the crowd. It was a scene. It was an entire scene. It was not a little pee. It was a lot of pee. It was a significant amount of pee. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So I just have it has to be. It has to be planned. Because I would like to think that someone wouldn't just pee on a person.
I don't know. I feel like it's a punk band. It might have been spontaneous.
I really don't like that.
What kind of shows are you guys going to?
You gotta plan something like that's too over the top.
Yeah, that's a lot.
When I was in a punk band, in my early 20s for a while, and like we did tour a tiny bit and stuff. We were called Quilt.
Hell yeah. Very punk band name.
Very punk band name. We liked that it sounded like a folk band.
Warm and cozy, yeah.
Like, because everybody was in folk bands at the time, and so like we have this band name that also sounds like a folk band, and people would add us to bills sometimes where we just didn't belong.
Hell yeah.
And so we never did anything nearly that extreme. But when we did do some kind of crazy stuff, we always planned it. Like, we had a show where we threw tons of stuffed animals out into the crowd. We had a show where we broke a guitar because it was like a dying guitar, and then like we fought with the pieces of it, and like beat each other up a little bit. But we planned that. You don't just start hitting each other with pieces of guitar without discussing that first. That's no.
Either it was planned, or she just forgot to go pee like before the show and was like, I could make this a moment. What if I just seized the moment and it just didn't go well for her because she had to apologize. How do you not worry about like equipment? Like, equipment is expensive.
Yeah.
You're gonna cover it with pee.
And also electrocution.
Yeah.
You're saying this was a lot of pee. Is what I'm hearing. Like Blastoise, like oh, that's an image.
It's Blastoise.
like a very strong torrent of pee.
They should change their band name to Blastoise.
There's a hole somewhere in me.
Oh God.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I've given everyone like a stomach ulcer already.
This is This is great content. My mind is blown right now that this happened.
Yeah, I wish that
I
it was the
really
kind of
thought
thing we
that
could
that
show on
whole
video on
thing
a
kind of
stream.
died after
How
the
did we get
late
from Taylor
90s.
Swift to this?
That is a great question.
I don't
How did
remember
we
either.
get- Does Taylor Swift have a peeing anecdote that we segued from? No, I know she doesn't.
No, she's not.
But I don't know how we got here, actually.
I can't remember.
I mean, listen, Shayna says she's loving it.
Thank you,
so fuck
Shayna.
it.
Oh God.
God, that is I thought that behavior had mostly just kind of died out, like I said, because like definitely in the 80s, things like that weren't entirely uncommon in terms of like you had punk bands like taking a shit on stage,
Right.
intentionally cutting themselves so they would bleeding all over the equipment and shit. You know, but I didn't.
I'm too
know,
soft for that crowd. I like Taylor Swift.
Sounds like a biohazard. Like,
Yeah,
what-
it is.
I'll
There's
just
one
listen to my pop
particularly
music.
there's one particularly famous band from Japan. I'm struggling to think of their name. That the guy like bulldozed part of a venue.
Oh
And
my
some other-
God.
Like their band is infamous for like
Why?
literally destroying venues. Like they burned a venue down. They bulldozed part of a venue, and also he almost cut off his own leg with a chainsaw once at a show, just to give you an idea. So there is some precedent for punk bands doing some.
I feel like
Stuff.
this.
what?
Huh? How?
Does he still have the leg?
He does, yeah,
Does he still
got
have the chainsaw?
reattached?
maybe.
How do they still get shows? They're just like a venue will be like, yeah, we're closing up shop here. Do you guys wanna help us finish with a bang? Like, how does that even work?
I will say this: the audience is now curious. This was an accident for the. He was being dangerous with a chainsaw on stage, and then he almost cut his leg off by accident. That was not the intentional.
Oh,
I
okay.
could.
I'm
I
glad.
could still be hard to tell. At
I
this
for
point.
sure,
I
yeah,
thought he was just going to town on his leg.
we were both for sure like how does one plan this as a part of a show and then execute it and not die?
I don't know.
No, that was not planned.
Okay. Why would you? You know what I always thought would go together, like really aggressive music and things that can kill you. Like I think that those are like just like two peas in a pod. Chainsaws and music that makes you like thrash around, very safe.
Great combo.
You know what's always missing from punk music? Near death experiences. So you
Yeah.
can really feel the moment.
You should have you should have
just
someone in
stunned.
your band that just has a nail gun and just fires it into the crowd.
Oh God! Don't suggest this. I remember seeing a rapper with a bunch of nails in his hair recently.
No,
So
thank you.
maybe that's gonna be a thing.
We're talking about like people trying to like bring back these like older attitudes and aesthetics about punk music, and I think that a lot of that is there's a thirst for like alternative aesthetics on like social media with like young people, like Gen Z. It's very like into like vintage alternative aesthetics, or at least like parts of it are. And it seems to be these very like almost corporate pushes to bring back these very anti-corporate like kinds of music and expression.
Oh yeah, there was that band. What were they called? Like the Girl
Tramp
Bosses or
Stamps,
something?
yes.
Yeah, Tramp Stamp.
The one girl who she did that hop in the hearse, we're gonna dig up my ex, that like one song that like went viral. It was just this like very bad like forced punk song that sounded almost like a country song, because it was very much like a normie girl that they like dressed up in e-girl hair and plaid skirts. And not that there's anything wrong with like an artist trying to fit a certain aesthetic, if they want to. But just like overnight, this girl went to being like the like punk darling of this like label that's like pushing her to come out with new songs, and she's writing this horrible shitty music that she's trying to like force into a punk sound by having it make no sense, way over singing it. Probably a very talented girl that's just being like manipulated by a label
Yeah.
to like attract the TikTok kids, and they're trying to figure out a way. But every time the
Once
TikTok
again,
kids like
I
like
wish
they-
we could play a Tramp Stamp song for you.
Oh my god. I annoy my boyfriend so much because there'll be times where I'll just like break out the like 2000s like alternative voice and just like, I'd rather die than hook up with another straight white guy, and I just sing it all the time to him just like that. And it's so funny to me and nobody else. But I find the Tramp Stamps to be fascinating because one of them is like a MAGA girl who just like dyed her hair blue to join this band, and like they're all married to like straight white guys, and they start this band to like basically string together like, and like literally the lyrics read like tweets that are like strung together from like 2014.
Yeah, they do. They read like a really bad Tumblr post.
Yes.
With
And-
the exact amount of rhyming that you would expect in a really bad Tumblr post,
Mhm.
which is to say very little. But
And I-
sometimes.
And I found this to be the case with like every TikTok musician. Like there's that Bella Porch chick who like went viral for doing like emoji faces and basically bouncing her head along to music. And like no worries, like I don't judge people for being stupid on social media and getting famous for it. It's my
Yeah.
dream.
Get the bag.
All I want to be is like someone who can get money for acting like an idiot on the internet. But it's like she has a following and a pretty decent voice, so she had a team. Literally, so the lyrics are to the chorus are, "This ain't build a bitch. You don't get to pick and choose." Da, 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 da. And that's literally a tweet, like word for word. That is someone's tweet that she just took and added other words to and made a song that she's making millions of dollars off of. And it's like, I really hope the person that like wrote that song for you or like came up with that concept for you is getting royalties or something. Of course they're not. It's just like moneyed interests like trying to understand what Gen Z wants in like an alternative musician or a pop musician, and it's always so forced.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird stuff. And I think there is like a legitimate. You could see why there's kind of people would want something like actual punk to come back
Mhm.
in times this frustrating, right?
Oh, yes.
So it makes sense why they would be trying to cash in, because like who isn't like angry at the world right now
Right.
to some extent, you know, with like the pandemic and stuff, and even before that, you know, I mean, racial inequality, police violence, you
Yeah.
know, Democrats are full of shit.
Yeah.
Republicans are just blatant fascists.
As bad as it can get. Yeah.
Who wouldn't be angry enough to want some music that reflected that in some fashion?
And
But
in the past, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you good.
I was just gonna say, in the past, like labels have been able to like falsify that kind of attitude and cash in on it. And I just think that Gen Z is so skeptical of, you know, I don't think that companies like these record labels that were able to like create rock bands that would sort of channel like the frustration of young people in a time, you know, with a lot of political unrest and sort of channel them into like boomer dad rock like AC/DC, which is like severely like less substantive than like something like Black Sabbath. I couldn't think of the name for a second. you know, bands that have like actual things to say. Well,
Right.
not as much, but you know, specifically thinking about like anti-war like imagery and anti-war lyrics, and having sort of companies try to create sounds like bands that sound the same. I'm stuttering now. Basically,
No, yeah. I mean, this like, and you're right. This did work before,
mhm,
because like the Sex Pistols are still to this day considered like legitimate
the punk band.
by a lot of people, and like yeah, like the punk band, and they were completely manufactured. Like a lot of the like sort of early punk bands of that era were like heavily manufactured. And you know, Sex Pistols, Ramones, The Clash, bands like that are remembered more than Black Flag.
Because they were pushed by these major interests, right?
You know?
Yeah.
It's just kind of interesting how that works.
Yeah, it's heartening to see that young people will find an artist like this and not take the superficial and often like substanceless, like, for lack of a better word, just like angry music, and they see that it's not as meaningful as something that like actually speaks to their struggles. Like, kids, you know, I don't think that any of these kids on TikTok, like, they never knew a time that wasn't after the recession, you know.
Yeah.
They never knew a time where it wasn't everybody was struggling.
Yeah.
Everybody was you know, all of a sudden dropped into this horrible financial situation. And I think that it's just made kids so much more skeptical.
Yeah. Although there are still aspects of Gen Z that fall to credulity. Do you remember when Gen Z tried to cancel Paul Wall on Twitter?
I don't.
So like some Gen Zers got on Twitter and were like, y'all really let this man rap back in the day, like posting pictures of Paul Wall? And everyone just like jumped in the comments and the quote tweets like, yes,
Yes, we
he
did.
did. Paul Wall is the people's champion. He's one of the only white rappers that no one questions because he's never done anything shady and he's just a legit guy that people like. And what's funny is like, but the roast that really got me is someone was like, and you stand this man, and post a picture of Jack Harlow. And I was just like, damn, okay, Gen Z does, some Gen Zers do fall for it still, because Jack Harlow, my God.
I don't think, if I've ever heard a Jack Harlow song, I have not been able to hold it in my brain. Like, I don't know what that man sounds like. I barely know what he looks like, and I'm so glad.
He makes really generic popular rap. That's the thing. It's like he has studied the formulas and he makes really formulaic music, and so you hear it and you're kind of like, this
is enjoyable
a little bit. But then you try to think about the song later and you're like, what did it even sound like? Because it is literally just like
everything
an amalgamation of everything popular in rap music right now, with like a cute white guy doing it.
That sucks.
Yeah.
But he's been doing this for a long time. Like I
mean, he had to study. I mean, he literally is like, he's doing the exact same thing as Post Malone, basically, in a lot of ways, where it's just like Post Malone literally just studied songwriting until he understood it on the level of like the people who write the biggest pop hits.
Yeah.
And then he
You
wrote.
think he's going to shift genres like Post Malone?
Probably.
I mean, like, as long
genres right around the time he starts to get Me Too, just like that other guy.
As long as he doesn't have any more DJs shooting up clubs. Like,
no, who was that white rapper that was really popular like 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
Which
all
one?
I can think of is MGK.
With like he has a slick back hair. Yeah. G-Eazy.
Oh.
I don't
Oh
think you're
yeah.
thinking of Slim
Yeah,
Jesus.
he
because
switched
Slim Jesus
genres
is
to
too
being an
bald.
emotional singer-songwriter right around the time he got canceled for being bad to women.
Also, I think Slim Jesus might be from my city. I might be thinking of somebody else, but I'm pretty sure that Slim Jesus is from like.
Slim Jesus is like a fake rapper, kind of. He's a real rapper, but like he lives in Idaho.
Okay, so I'm thinking of somebody else who. So I won't say he says in this song he's like, I'm posted up on this street
Yep.
with my boys, and it's like it's the most bumpkiny street. Like I've known people, it's like a 5 minute like walk from my house. There's
Oh,
no
really?
like posted up on this block. It's like all memas that live like that like rent a house
Are
with
you
their
one of the
like
people who
grandchildren.
exposed Slim Jesus?
No, I just like as soon as I heard of him, I'm like what do you mean you're posted up on Frank Block? Like Franklin is like it's right next to a like there was a family video right next to Franklin. Like it's not like
It was right when trap music was getting really popular in Chicago, and like a bunch of it was starting a bunch of new genres in different cities.
right.
But he took advantage of it, and it was really funny after a while because people realized, oh, this kid is just in Idaho
he's just
or
like, he's
Iowa
just a
or
guy.
something. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, he's from my city, and it's just like this is not like there's like that kind of activity in every city, but it's certainly not happening like in this particular neighborhood that's like all not affluent, but like comfortable middle class people. Like I'm sorry, you
Yeah.
sound goofy to everybody that's from this city. And for a couple of years, it was all anybody talked about, like this like fucking dork that like pretends like he's a gangster in like the whitest city that you could ever imagine. It's like okay,
Dang.
it's just fake.
Crazy.
Shots fired at Slim Jesus.
Posted up on the street that my grandma lives at with her 3 poodles.
Oh,
Like okay,
oh no. Pull it with a stick,
you
meant a
can-
cane.
Yeah, just reply to him. My grandma's about to pull up.
hey, I'll leave your light on for trick or treat this year. There's a lot of kids in these neighborhoods. Like,
God.
it's just not. It's so funny to see somebody from this area. Like it's kind of like JD Vance with like Hillbilly Elegy, like treating this area as if it's like the most like bumpkiny, like country area, and it's like I live in a city with 80,000 people. Yes, it's like there are parts of the town he grew up in, Middletown, that are like rural, but it's very much like an urban breakdown. That's like if you drive 15 minutes out, there's like some poor farm towns, but like you're not from the country if you live in fucking Middletown, Ohio. I'm sorry.
This sounds like a really bad question, but what's your murder rate?
I'd assume bad. I try not to pay attention because I grew up with that stuff constantly on in the house, and then I was never able to leave my house. So I'd rather
Ohio
be
fucks
oblivious
people
until I
up,
get murdered.
though, because it's like the
My state has
densest-
quickly devolved to be like the top murder rate recently. and
Hey,
really
We
is-
love a dangerous moment. It's sometimes you have to live on the edge.
I don't like it here.
Albuquerque's known for its very high crime rate, but what they don't tell you is that if you break that down by crime, it's mostly like people breaking into cars. And like our murder rate's really low, and I'm fine with the perception that it's too crimey to come here.
The
police
the
plane.
worst people.
Every night I see the police plane delivering papers because I'm just like, oh, okay. I gotta put my magnet on top of my car so they know that I'm just a delivery driver. I'm
I'm
speeding for
regular.
that reason.
I'm
Joe's just
regular.
writing in little updates to the paper.
I gotta edit this.
But this story needs an update. They got the guy.
Oh God, that's awful. I just thought, like, what do I say in this guy's obituary? I don't really know him.
Ohio fucks people up though, because it's either endless fields of just like nonsense and like dilapidated buildings that look like serial killers just like sitting in, waiting for someone to come
Favorite
by.
pastime is to just like drive in the country and just be like haunted, not haunted, haunted.
Yeah.
Because like half
Go
the
into the
houses are just
country.
like
To
Just-
die.
like when I was growing up, my grandma lived in a house that literally looked like the house on like the cover of like, or like the house from like the first Amityville horror movies, like a dead ringer for that house, not to
Yeah.
pun
Dang.
intended. And so just like that very kind of like creepy like farmhouse is all over the place around here.
All over
drive
Ohio.
15 minutes out of the city and you find like 6 places. Actually, right across the street from me, there's like there's houses, and then there's a house tucked back into the forest that has always been so terrifying because it's just this like it's like a one room, almost like it's been fully hollowed out, and there's just like old figurines and like
Oh.
wood pallets in there, and it's
No.
like nightmarish. And so like really everywhere you go, there's like some place that like looks like it's the setting for a James Wan movie. Like not fun. I love it though. I love a good like a barn that looks like one good breeze will knock it down. I love
some
to
of that stuff is very fun to appreciate in a weird way.
Mhm.
But also I don't miss it very much.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not in that, if you're not in like a sprawling field of like haunted falling down houses full of axe murderers,
Mhm.
then like you're in like the most disgusting urban sprawl imaginable. And
Yes.
that's all of Ohio. I've
Yes.
described all of Ohio. Those are the only two things you can see.
For my
People go
entire
here.
for my entire life up until recently in my city's been getting a little bit of a makeover, so it's like super visually very nice. Still so many problems, but like for the longest time every building had these ugly like hideous facades on them covering up these like beautiful old brick buildings, and I just grew up it felt like a concrete jungle. It never had to feel like that, but for some reason that was almost like the desired look. Like, let's make downtown and every part of the city that like should have some life to it, let's make it look as unappealing and as empty as humanly possible. Because the last thing that we would want would be like local businesses to like have a chance to thrive. And now there's like, there's downsides to it. Obviously there's like rich people investing in the city, so the city is less for me, the normal like working class person in the city, and more for like people who can afford to go to a municipal brewery or like pay $150 at like a fucking a town themed diner that costs $150 for 6 people to eat at.
Municipal
So we have a bunch of old government buildings from when the town was founded in like the late 1700s, that one of them has been turned into like a hipster like craft brewery,
Huh.
which is kind of cool and kind of the worst thing that's ever happened in the world,
Oh.
because it just attracts the most like, I'm 36 and already going through my midlife crisis and I want to like make dandelion wine in my bathtub kind of person. Like there's a horrible energy.
I know that kind of person.
There's a horrible energy to this municipal brewery.
Whew.
Yeah, it's very bad. I mean,
That doesn't sound like a fun place.
No.
I'm not gonna lie. It sounded cool at first. I mean, the first half.
the
Not
thing
so
is,
much.
it is cool. Like, it is cool. The brew, I'm not a beer person. I've heard that the beers are good. They stock the local restaurants. So, like, that's kind of cool. Like, it's like all local.
The people are trash. They go there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there's this like really cute coffee shop that like it's like in an old house. It was like built when the town was founded, so it's like very cool. Like, the atmosphere is really cool. The worst people go there, and I will not go, because as much as I wish that I could enjoy this beautiful coffee shop, it's like, do I want to sit around people who are like perpetually in that like 2012 like hipster. I listen to the Lumineers. I take I take
No.
I
Oh, I
take
deal with
pictures
that
of
all the
the
time.
salads.
No.
Welcome to Portland.
Yeah, when I lived in Asheville, everyone was like that. It was the worst. I hated it.
Mm,
It sucked so much.
it's horrible.
Every brewery was like a place where like people brought their dogs and like played fucking like cornhole outside,
Oh God.
and everybody has a beard, and they're all talking about which beard oil they use.
There's
And you know, it's just like, instead of confronting my alcoholism, I'm gonna get pretentious about it. That kind of person is like
This
the
is
only
the
kind of
worst.
person you meet.
This is the worst one. We have an urban backyard where, as a vendor, you can pay to permanently park a food truck, and there's picnic tables and big like fire pits, and it's just a place to go. Like, it's just like, we don't have like the city food truck experience. It's just a fake like food truck place where they're basically like stationary restaurants, and you just go sit on these like, and it's brand new. It's kind of it would be cool if it weren't for the fact that like you have to pay like $18 to like sit around a fire pit in an urban backyard, which is just a lot. It's just a lot. It's not a backyard. It's in the middle of the city. It's so fake kitschy. It's so horrible.
And also, like, that's the appropriation of like what should be like a public space
Mhm,
concept
yes.
into a paid space concept. And I hate that.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And the city is so like focused on this like kitschy like self-image of like they're trying to create the illusion that it's like a fun, vibrant place for young people to live. Like, all these businesses open up and close in like 6 months, and it's like, because there just isn't like a a thriving
No.
millennial like consumer like culture in my city.
The answer is no.
It's so horrible. And you know, as much as I love my city, you know, because I was raised here, and I think that it's a beautiful city. It's a historic city, and I genuinely enjoy it. I wish that it were just, for lack of a better word, and this is going to sound horrible, but I hope that you know what I mean. It's very soy. It's very like there's been like an infusion of soy into like the city, and it's horrible. I don't mind it that much, but it is.
I'm
it is
I'm sure there are aspects of it that are kind of good, the way gentrification always has like some kind of good parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like it sucks a lot though.
Sometimes it do be that way though.
It do, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's always like, I'm really glad that there's this amazing restaurant where I used to have a cheap apartment.
Yeah.
I do miss my cheap apartment, but this restaurant's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's silver linings.
You know, I'm glad that there's
Don't
like
have
It's not really worth it, but there's silver linings.
I'm glad there's a boutique where I can buy things that I could find on Facebook Marketplace for $5, but like with a coat of paint.
Ooh,
And
coat of
yeah,
paint.
coat of paint, and sell it
Damn.
for $300. Like, you know, that's like the number one like kind of business that gets open around here. Or like, for some reason they're like, they keep trying to open like art galleries, and like, what are you gonna do with an art gallery in a town of people that like
No one's
sit
gonna
at
come
home
look
and
at this.
like, entertainment here is like NASCAR and Fox News. I don't know how they think they're gonna get people into like an interpretive art studio to do like
It's COVID.
it's such a funny city, because it's all fake. It's all investments from like 2 or 3 families. And I just wonder when it's gonna fall apart, and
When are
like
they
this,
gonna run out of money?
yeah,
That town's gonna go under. That's
Because they
not
keep-
good.
there are like these programs that, like, you can get funding for a business if you like meet these like certain requirements, but they never continue to meet these requirements because it's not a city where people go downtown to shop, you know.
Yeah.
no one's ever just in the city and needing a cup of coffee, or in the city and needing, to go grab a bite to eat. Like,
Just sounds like a ghost town. That sounds
it's
awful.
it's a commuter town. No one works in this city,
Okay.
So
Yeah.
everyone's driving to Cincinnati or Dayton. You're most likely like not gonna think to drive to the coffee shop where you have to like wait in line in like a an inconvenient drive-through for like 15 minutes when you can go to Starbucks or McDonald's to get your coffee.
Sorry,
Which is
this like,
sad.
fascinating
Also, I
to
mean,
me.
if you're
I've never
already
lived in
driving
that
to a bigger
situation.
city, you're gonna get your coffee in the bigger city,
Right, because
right? Like, yeah, you're gonna get better coffee faster in Cincinnati.
than you would get in it's not even like a podunk town. It's just like all these new coffee places that are like, I'm sorry, if I can't get a cold brew from the coffee place, I don't want to go. If you're not high tech enough to have cold brew or like matcha, not
How
interested.
you gonna call yourself a fancy coffee place if you don't got cold brew?
And since I've already like
That is
said
a
like
good question.
and like this one, like there's one trying to be like alternative like scene, like it's like an all black coffee house, and it's like very like we're different. We're not like this other fancy coffee house. They opened right before COVID. I can't imagine that they're doing too well. And
Are they even still open?
they're still open, but there's never
That's good.
anybody there.
That's
I'd imagine that they probably got like so much time of investment from this family, and then if they don't stay afloat for much longer, they probably won't be around for much longer.
That's wild.
that sucks. Yeah, it's a tough time to be opening a business like that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Feels like any sort of food industry business right now is kind of suffering with all the depots being kind of backed up.
Right.
Not enough drivers, not enough people. I don't know. I see it at work all the time, and it's just kind of shocking.
Yeah, it's for so many reasons, I can't imagine why somebody would pick right now to be like, you know what, I'm gonna open an artisanal bakery. I'm gonna make a cupcake shop. People are gonna come
You
and
make regular bread.
yeah, like just
I'll eat it.
yeah, everybody's needed bread this last year, right? It's just insane to me. And I guess like I feel almost like an obligation to like these smaller businesses, small business tyrant, all of this, all that. Like I know that, but at the same time, like it's my city. I don't want to just see Starbucks on every corner. I don't want to just see McDonald's on every corner. I'd like for there to be some things that are unique to the city. But at the same time, it's like, do I like I I have to support myself. I can't also
I
support
need food.
yeah. I can't spend $8 on an egg sandwich just because I want to support a local business really bad.
Eggs hatched
Yeah.
by a golden hen. Jesus.
I'm gonna put eggs and avocado in a tortilla and not toast it, and I'm gonna pay you $10, and I'm gonna charge you $10 for it. A cup of
No.
coffee that I won't even put ice
Listen, $10 is a lot of honey buns.
in. That's true.
No.
That's true.
I read the nutritional facts for that thing, and it's not even. It's ranked in E.
You'd have to
There's a
pay.
scale of A to E. It's an
But
E.
yeah, no, literally at home, you take an English muffin that costs 45 cents. You take an egg that costs like sometimes like 20 cents.
Yeah.
Like you add some like mustard or something, some
Mustard
kind
on
of
eggs?
condiment. I'm down with it. I like mustard on almost anything.
Oh God.
Add some ketchup or something, a
Just
few
imagine you
cents
putting it
worth
on
of
cereal.
condiments.
Hot
That's
sauce.
awful.
Even if you went all out, like threw a little spinach on it, shit like that, it'd be hard to make it cost
Ooh.
more than like $2 at home.
$2. Yeah.
Mustard on a honey bun.
Mustard on
Oh.
a honey bun. Oh my God. I have a friend who for a while her favorite bit was like putting mustard on like pizza or mustard on like cake and posting it just to make people angry on Twitter. It was horrible.
That's really
I think
funny.
that she genuinely enjoyed it too, which is the worst part.
I mean, it'd probably be fine
That
on a
would
lot
go
of things.
well with.
I remember.
My great grandmother's mayo cake.
Oh,
Whoa.
sounds delicious.
Whoa. You are making my stomach do things, sir.
I've never tried it, but Mom showed me the recipe, and I was just like, "How'd you eat this?" And she was like, "We usually didn't."
So what is a mayo?
We threw it away.
Like,
Yo, what goes in the mayo cake, Joe?
So instead of eggs and oil, you would use mayo.
like in like a chocolate cake or like a regular dessert cake?
It's basically the same recipe, but it was a style during what am I thinking of? The Depression, one of the depressions.
One of those bitches.
That was what she had lived with and what she had grown up making. But she also hated my mom and her sisters. So
oh god. See, I can see mayo
pray
being
she
like
doesn't see this.
I can see mayo being a good base for a cake, but it would have to be a good cake.
She said she tried it once. It was the saltiest thing she'd ever tried.
Oh.
So like a salty cake with sugary, like almost frosting.
Oh, that's horrible.
So that's a combo.
I'd rather have the mustard cake.
And it's moist. It's moist. Why is it moist?
I don't want anything to be salty and moist.
Salty and moist, no.
That's a horrible
Those are
combination.
two things you don't want.
No, for sure not.
With your
No.
nice frosting.
No. I see, like
Struggle mayo cake.
I've used like
I would also rather have water pie.
I'd rather like consume air as dessert. I'd rather be one of those people that like buys like a scented lip balm or something, and they're like, "This is my dessert."
I'd rather not clog my arteries. Like I felt my arteries clogging when I read the recipe.
So I've made cake with like silken tofu as the base before, which actually worked really well. And like there was a period, so like my dad got a liver transplant, and so everything that I bake, breads, cakes, everything, I would try to make it vegan so that I wouldn't have to worry about. We have like a shitty oven, basically. I didn't want to have to worry about like the eggs causing a problem. So I got really accustomed to like vegan baking and like trying to make things taste as. I'm picky. I'm not just gonna like eat something that's like a vegan version of something and like force myself to be like, this is great if it tastes like sand. You know what I mean? So like I tried my hardest to like really adapt recipes to that lifestyle for a while for him, and I got good at it. But you can't just throw it together and expect it to work. You have to tweak things.
Try this. I'm dying.
Baking is basically chemistry, and if you remove one element from that chemical reaction, you can't just replace it with something similar and guarantee it's going to work. Sometimes you have to recreate the entire reaction through like a different set of criteria.
That's the crazy thing.
Crazy substitutes though, like that do work.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing.
And like, what is it? Vinegar and milk?
Yeah, vinegar and
makes
so, like,
buttermilk.
Yeah, vinegar and like soy milk or anything like that, like almond and soy, not almond and soy, but like lemon and soy milk, like will create a similar curdle if you're trying to make buttermilk. Or like when I was making that like vegan cream cheese icing, I just added lemon juice to like it was marketed as like vegan cream cheese. It was just like a creamed like soy paste. It didn't taste anything like cream cheese, but just like a couple drops of lemon juice, it was like pretty spot on. And again, I'm like picky. I don't just like say, I don't tell myself that things are good and like make myself believe it. Like if it's good, it's good.
See, that's stuff I need to know.
I have a long list of recipes that I found by accident just by fusing like the way that I used to cook with the way that I cook now, and like actually like not eating meat, because like I grew up cooking meat. Like it's not just something that I was like able to slide into. Like you do have to recreate the like the the fat content, the fiber content. Oh shit. They're gone. Oh shit. But yeah, so you
fair.
There they are. Hello. got scared for a second. I was like, oh fuck.
I did too. I don't know. I'm not the technically sound
It's
one.
stream going, oh fuck.
Having internet hiccups. My internet's been a little squirrely lately. I was talking about this yesterday. I might have
Get
to
those
do
squirrels
something
out of
at
there.
some point.
Yeah.
But first, I need this show to make money. Patreon.com/Velvet Butcher Shop or Ko-fi, your choice. But yeah,
Support
I was
a
gonna
good
say though,
creator.
Kennedy, we should do a whole show about food and cooking when you come back next.
Yes.
Because
I
I
would love
love talking about
actually.
food and cooking.
It's actually one of my favorite things to talk about, especially like from this like specific angle. I really enjoy it. So yes.
Yeah, and I
I would
have a
very
lot of
much
interesting thoughts about food substitution, eating healthy, but also making it taste good, things like that.
Hell
You know,
yeah.
I will say, like, having read a lot of old struggle recipes and like looked into how they're made and stuff, some of our great grandparents were just bad at food. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say it. Like some of
Seriously.
those struggle recipes
Why?
did not need to be that disgusting.
Why did you put it in gelatin?
Yeah. You know,
Like
Why?
I'm really
Simple
hungry. I'm gonna
stir-fries.
put this like tuna in unflavored gelatin, and I'm gonna make my
Great.
children eat it.
Hot dogs?
And put mayonnaise in it too.
Hot
Don't forget
dog.
that part. Add some mayonnaise.
Processed meat.
Yeah, no, I make like simple stir fries and stuff all the time that are like cheap meals at home.
Yeah.
Different kinds, bake chickens, things like that. That you can make a lot of cheap meals out of. It doesn't have to be that disgusting.
And
It doesn't
even
need to
you know,
be this way.
even like for a long time I had this conception like to be a vegetarian I'm sorry, I keep talking about it. I promise I'm not trying to be like that, like, and I don't eat meat, guys. Yeah. But like, there are ways to like not eat meat and get protein and not spend like $1,500 a year on like super expensive like meat replacements. Like you can just not do that.
All right, fair enough. Fair
That's
enough,
fair.
Omni. If they had the internet, if they had those
The-
subreddits that are like, here's how to make a meal that's 60 cents per portion, or
That's
something,
that sweet old
They
lady
had
that
the
would
internet,
post on.
They could have stopped the Spanish Inquisition.
Mm.
This could have all
It was-
been avoided.
It was just all an issue of communication. But yeah.
this has been a wonderful episode.
This is fun.
Before we get out of here, really quickly, our only reoccurring segment so far, Fungus Facts. Joe, what mushrooms can you hunt right now?
Right now, in the month of November, you can hunt the black truffle, the blue wit, the cauliflower mushroom, the chanterelle mushroom, the charbonnier mushroom. Sorry, I don't know what happened. The hedgehog mushroom, the lactaire mushroom, the matsutake mushroom, the musarone mushroom. The parasol
I've never
mushroom,
eaten some of
the
these,
ear
and I've
mushroom,
eaten quite
the
a lot of wild
porcini
mushrooms.
the white truffle, the yellow foot, and the black trumpet. Okay, and we're done with that segment.
Beautiful.
Of those, I will say a couple of them that I have eaten or harvested myself are that are a little more unusual. The bluets are a really good one to try to find. Depending on where you are, they grow after a frost a lot of the time. And they look really cool. They have this bluish, brownish, kind of leathery look to them. You have to cook the shit out of them. They're toxic until you cook them. But they're delicious.
Isn't
And
that for a lot of mushrooms?
Huh?
Isn't that for a lot of edible mushrooms?
It's about like 50% or more of edible mushrooms, yeah. But bluets in particular are like they're bad for your kidneys or your bladder or something. And if you don't cook them properly, so you need to cook them thoroughly. But they're delicious, nutty, delicious mushroom. Also, if you can find matsutakis, those are one of the most valuable edible mushrooms. I've only eaten them once. Very unusual tasting. They taste kind of like a pine tree.
Really?
Straight up.
This is my
Omni says that's like Twitter too. Got to cook them to get rid of the poison.
Yeah. Oh wow! I didn't expect the Twitter part.
Just
And it was
from
the
the
first
top
part.
rope.
I know it's very random, but Joe and I are both really into edible mushrooms growing them, hunting them, cooking them, stuff like that. And this
I'm-
may continue to be a segment.
I will have to tune in because
They're some
I
fun guys.
am getting I am getting mushroom pill. I didn't like mushrooms for the longest time, but
Hmm.
I've really been like craving them lately and like reading more about them and learning more about them. I have friends who are very passionate about mushrooms. It's hard once you know someone that's passionate about mushrooms to not also become passionate about mushrooms.
When are we
Because
going
they're
hunting?
so cool. I want to go mushroom hunting.
Yeah, no, actually, Ohio has good mushroom hunting too. You do live. When I was a kid in Ohio, we would hunt morels, chanterelles, chicken of the woods, a variety of delicious edible mushrooms.
My mom and her siblings would go with their aunt, and so we've actually been thinking about taking Cora. We kind of missed the season for it, I think, but we want to take my niece. She would just enjoy that so much. She loves getting into things, and it'd be cool to teach her from a young age that these are like good for you foods, and they're kind of the coolest things.
Stuff from the forest.
Yeah,
that tweet about
Be
vegan
outdoors,
hunting.
child.
I went
Also-
vegan hunting today for mushrooms.
Mushrooms are one of the most ethical things that you can forage too, because once they've fruited like that, they've already done their thing. Sober. So you're not disturbing their lifestyle, or life cycle rather, their lifestyle either necessarily by picking them, because they've fruited, they've reproduced, they've done what they're going to do, and so you can just go harvest that without a guilty conscience. Whereas like a lot of other things that you can forage, you have to be more conscientious about, like things like ramps, which is a wild garlic type thing. So delicious, but if you're not conscientious, you'll wipe out the patch. You'll kill it and it won't come back. So
strawberries as well. You can
wild
wipe out
strawberries are like that.
very
Yep, you
easily.
over harvest the wild strawberries, they don't come back. So you have to be really conscientious about a lot of that stuff. But with mushrooms, if they're fruiting, you're already good to go. So that's a nice one. Yeah, lots of fun mushrooms that can be harvested this time of year. I'm gonna put a picture on screen of the bluet because it's a more unusual mushroom, and I just feel like adding that level of depth to this segment. Look at this beautiful mushroom.
That's gorgeous.
That does look.
Oh,
like-
I've seen these. I've seen these.
There is a lookalike too. Learn to tell it apart from its lookalike, but you can do it definitively with a few traits.
Is it the guild?
But yeah, it's very you should be able to find them where you live, first of all, and second of all, again, it's when it's cold. Is when they come out. Also, another mushroom that comes out when it's cold is the enoki, the velvet foot enoki, which does not look like the enoki that you get at the store.
By the way, velvet foot, what a beautiful name. Oh yeah.
Whoa. That looks like a little
That's
hedgehog mushroom.
These ones are very tricky to correctly identify, so I don't recommend this for a novice because they look like a lot of other mushrooms, including you could mistake it for the deadly gallerina, like that one image is pointing out. But I harvest these almost every year from the mountains here when it's cold, and they're delicious.
Dang.
I just think that they're the coolest fucking things in the world.
Does New York have good mushrooms? That's
upstate New York does have good mushroom hunting, as I understand it. You have a lot of the right conditions in those forested regions that have like a lot of creeks and stuff flowing through them. Yeah, after a rain or a particular cold snap is always a good time. Rain or a frost, basically.
Just don't wander into somebody's patch. I don't know how mushroom hunters are out there, but like here in Oregon,
they can be
territorial.
Angry. Everybody's angry.
Yeah.
Oregon sounds like such a wonderfully cursed place to live.
We're right below Washington, so it's just and California's right below us. So,
Just like a sandwich of like the best and worst possible.
welcome to
states.
the perfect storm of the Pacific Northwest. Yeah.
It looks so beautiful, but I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
You've got to be a very special person to survive the Pacific Northwest. I don't think I'd make it.
Too long.
All right, that was mushroom or fungus facts. I already forgot the name of our segment. That's the fungus facts segment, our only reoccurring segment so far. I literally made that graphic 30 seconds before we went live practically. We'll get better about some of this stuff if we're actually going to make it a reoccurring segment maybe, but for now I just think it's really fun to talk about fungus. This is Velvet Butcher Shop. It's been a real pleasure. Kennedy, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us.
Thank you for having me.
Anything you want to plug real quick?
Yeah, you can check me out. I am a part of a Bad Praxis, which is a podcast kind of / mostly a Twitch stream. We're getting slowly back into streaming, so follow twitch.tv/Bad Praxis and follow us on Twitter at Bad Praxis Podcast. And we're gonna be pumping out more content for the lovely sweeties and the honeys and the angels. So
and the honey buns.
And the honey buns. So catch us there.
Get them out.
And also both of you are welcome anytime.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do some crossover content.
Let's go. The best kind of content.
Once again, this is Velvet Butcher Shop. Thank you for watching. Monday to Friday, 1 Eastern. It's culture, it's personal storytelling, it's comedy, it's a lot of things.
So many things.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.